This is Big Podcast.
People think TV or film, big budgets. People think radio, not so big budgets. And sometimes people think podcast, zero budgets. Sometimes that's why people come to podcasting. Yes, you can do it cheaply. However, there's no denying you need something compelling. A community helps. A good story is essential. Charisma helps. Delivery helps. A community can be unbelievably helpful. You could do a great podcast with a strong but mighty community. Think about this. People who are very enthusiastic about what you talk about on your podcast, they can provide the content, the questions, the conversations, the links to things that you should talk about on that podcast. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. Can you make a podcast for no money? Yes, you can. That's the lead story. This is Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. My name is David Hooper. This podcast, all about growing a podcast, getting more people to your podcast, and making a podcast that makes you money, even if you've got a podcast that costs you no money. Well, it's going to cost you something. We'll get into that. That's the first thing I'm talking about. Can you make a podcast with no money? This is the audio edition of my weekly newsletter that is called Big Podcast Insider. You can find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 235. If you want to see videos that I'm talking about, links to things that I'm talking about, if you want to read my written words, what I've typed up about these topics, you can do that at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 235. Here's what we're talking about. Can you make a podcast for no money? Is it time to quit your podcast? Introducing plays on Spotify. I feel like I should put a registered trademark in there. Plays. We'll talk more about that. Audacity turns 25 years old. A trick for your remote interviews. This episode of Build a Big Podcast brought to you by Riverside.fm, a virtual studio that makes recording and editing the highest quality possible accessible to anyone. We're talking about doing a podcast on little or no budget. Riverside, at just a few bucks a month, it's going to give you studio quality recordings, lightning fast editing. If you're doing video, you can record up to 4K video resolution. You're also going to get instant transcriptions powered by AI with 99% accuracy. One of the things I really like about Riverside.fm is it will take your long form audio content. It will automatically go through it, find the most interesting parts for social media, chop everything up, give you those clips. It's a huge time saver. You can go to social media with those clips and bring people back to your full podcast. You want to check it out? Riverside's going to give you a couple of hours for free to take a look, kick the tires, look under the hood, see if it works for you. Go to riverside.fm, get that free account. It's enough for an interview, maybe 2 interviews. You do a monologue. Yeah, you've definitely got time to work with this free account at riverside.fm. If you want to stick around, I've got a discount code for you. That discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. That's riverside.fm. You're going to look and sound your best. Make your guests look and sound their best. Go to riverside.fm. And if you want to stick around on the paid plans, here's a discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. All right, let's get to it. I'm going from thing to thing to thing, all of them with more information and links at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 235. When you hear this sound, that's how you know I'm going to the next thing. And that's how you know when you want more information, when you want the links to videos, when you want to see the photos that I'm talking about. Go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 235. You ready? Can you make a podcast for no money? It's a great question. Let me tell you a story about a guy I know, not a podcaster, but see if you can relate to him. This guy, he was trying to save a few bucks by pressing his album, CDs at the time, without paying the extra $50 for shrink wrap. You get 1,000 CDs, maybe 1,100 CDs, depending on the overrun. $50 extra, they would shrink wrap them. He had a kid. The kid works at Blockbuster. Under 30, look it up. Video rental place. And what they would do when they were selling used video cassettes, they would shrink wrap them, make them look a little bit more polished. So they've got this shrink wrapping machine at Blockbuster, and his plan was to take those 1,000 or so CDs into Blockbuster at night where his kid worked and shrink wrap them on Blockbuster's dime. Free to him? Who knows how much it would have cost Blockbuster, but not really free to him because he's going to have to spend the time feeding 1,000 or so CDs into the shrink wrap machine. We had a mutual friend. She said, you know, that shows he really didn't believe in the product, does he? Trying to save $50. Could have gotten his kid fired because I'm sure Mr. Blockbuster, he wouldn't have been into that, using company resources for your personal stuff. And who knows how long it would have taken. You got to drive over there, get the CDs out of the car, put each one of them in a machine individually. Just crazy. Does he not really believe in the product? Maybe. We don't know. Regardless, you're going to have an easier time creating your podcast if you're willing to spend a few bucks. It doesn't mean there are not some great free or cheap options out there. One of them, I'm going to talk about it. It just had its 25th birthday. Audacity, a free tool to record your podcast. This podcast, right now, I'm recording in Audacity. I will edit this podcast in Audacity. I haven't talked about this, but I'm doing some work for a $1 billion company right now, SiriusXM. What do I use? Audacity. It is a very good tool. Talked about Riverside.fm. $30 a month. Can you afford it? Yeah. You can afford it. Some great tools. I've already pitched it, so I don't need to pitch it again. To make you look and sound your best. $30 a month. Amazing, right? So you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a great podcast. Can you do a podcast for no money? Maybe. You got to have a computer. You got to have a microphone. Don't cheap out, man. With that said, I would love to hear from you about cheap and free podcasting resources that you use. Reach out to me via Blue Sky. I've got the link, newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 235. Let's talk real quick about Big Podcast AMP. If you like this podcast, if you like my newsletter, you are going to love Big Podcast AMP. AMP, it stands for Audio Monetization Program. It's a personal coaching program. It's going to help you do three things. It's you and me working together to grow your podcast audience, get more people talking about your podcast, and make more money with your podcast and your podcasting skills. I've got all the details at bigpodcast.com/amp. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. Is it time to quit your podcast? Let's talk about that for a second. Most people do not quit jobs or podcasts suddenly. You might be thinking, I need to stick this podcast out. But I want you to think of it as if it were a job. I've got some interesting thoughts on what a slow exit really looks like. If you want them, you know where to go. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 235. Let's talk about 7 of them. 1, the real resignation starts in the mind. You get tired. It's not as exciting for you to record, to edit, to book guests. You start slacking. Silence, that's the first sign of quitting. Stop answering emails, maybe. And like I said, you're not in the studio as much. You kind of phone things in. You stop sharing new ideas. That's the third one. Remember when you started your podcast, you were telling everybody. You got a friend in a 12-step program, AANA? You get a friend in a 12-step program. And 12-step, if you're familiar with it, it leads by attraction, not promotion. With that said, sometimes you can't help yourself. You're going to tell everybody, I'm in AA. Oh, yeah, I'm in the program, on the wagon. You got to let everybody know. You want support, and you're also excited about it. Very similar to a podcast. Number 4, you only do what's required, nothing more. Say you got a weekly show. Used to be an hour. Then it's 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Next thing you know, you got a 5-minute episode. Hey guys, just wanted to send you a quick update. Keep up the weekly facade. You only do what's required, nothing more. That's number 4. Number 5, you show up late, leave early. Again, this is a job thing that I'm repurposing for podcasting. But think about that. Remember how you would be on the line waiting for that remote guest to connect. Always early. These days, maybe a minute or two there. Run up to your studio. You're late. The guest is already there. Are you showing up late and leaving early? Number 6, you no longer defend your work. When we first have podcasts, we get those reviews, maybe not so good reviews. Oh man, it really hurts. And now you're like, whatever. And number 7, you mentally disconnect. You really don't care. And that, in my opinion, is the time for you to quit. So should you quit? Is it time for you to quit your podcast? Think about this. Let me go through them again. The real resignation starts in the mind. Silence is the first sign of quitting. You stop sharing new ideas. You do only what's required, nothing more. You show up late. You leave early. You no longer defend your work, and you mentally disconnect. If you've caught yourself going silent, recycling old ideas, dialing it in, and just not feeling the spark when the mic goes live, it is worth asking yourself, is it time to quit? I know it's a commitment, right? Like, if I quit, what if I want to come back? What if I miss it? Maybe take a month off. Maybe take a week off. Whatever you need to do to step away Get some perspective. Do you miss it? Do you want to go back? Maybe you don't. One time I was working a job. I liked my people okay. Went away for a week. I found out that I didn't miss them at all. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, man, this is weird. I thought I liked these people. And again, I liked them okay. They were great to work with. Situationships. Great to work with. We're not hanging out once I'm out of here. Because I didn't like the job, I was out of there. Should you get out of there too? Only you know the answer. But before you fade out completely, do take an honest look at your passion, your purpose, your community. Are you still showing up for them? Are you only showing up for them, not showing up for yourself? You got to show up for yourself. But sometimes we do get caught up. Oh man, I've got a community. People love me. I got to do it for them. If you don't have that ground floor foundation of doing it for yourself, you're not going to be able to show up for your community. You're not. People can tell when you're phoning it in. And if you are phoning it in, maybe it is time to hit pause, regroup, maybe sign off for good. In the end, your listeners are going to thank you. Thank you. You forced me to go look at something else. Maybe they're not interested at all either. Sometimes people hang out just because of those other people, the situationships, like I talked about that job. Once one person quits, other people quit. Is it time to quit your podcast? Only you can decide. I'd love to talk to you about it. I talked about Blue Sky if you want the link for you to connect with me there. And if you want this list, you can find it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 235. Introducing plays on Spotify. Plays, that is what Spotify is calling listens, streams, interactions. It is a metric that more or less shows the interaction that Spotify users are having with your podcast. And Spotify has gotten a lot of pushback from podcasters that have caused them to rethink this play strategy. Here's the update. Play counts will be presented to Spotify users as incremental milestone markers once an episode reaches 50,000 plays. Until an episode reaches 50,000 plays, there are no markers, including play counts, visible on the episode. And once you get 50,000 plays, then the play indicator on your episode will automatically be updated to the next milestone. It's 50,000, then 100,000, then 150,000. You getting less than 50,000? Nothing for you to worry about. I've talked about the play metric on Spotify. I think it's made a lot of podcasters nervous. And I get it. It's like me going for a home loan. I don't like people going through all my business. But I understand why they do. And a lot of podcasters, we're big talkers. We sound great. It sounds like something that could get 1 million listeners on terrestrial radio, but, maybe a few hundred, a few thousand. We don't necessarily want that known. Also, a lot of your hardcore podcasting people, they don't listen to podcasts on Spotify. They listen via an RSS. This podcast, I don't even bother looking at Spotify because most podcasters do not listen to podcasts via Spotify, and podcasters are who listens to this podcast. Am I there? Yeah, I'm there. But I don't worry about Spotify. It's not my market. If they were showing how many plays Build a Big Podcast got on Spotify, it might be embarrassing. I'm talking to you about building a big podcast, yet Spotify is 3 people maybe. It's not 3 people. But it feels like it when 98% of your audience is somewhere other than Spotify. If you're feeling that way, oh man, the Spotify numbers are so sad. Well, Spotify is not the only place where you are. It doesn't matter how well you're doing on Spotify. Spotify is extra. You got a teenage audience, 20-something audience. Yeah, maybe they're listening on Spotify, but Spotify, not a podcast platform. Great for music, amazing for music. I love it, but not for podcasts. So I don't worry about it. With that said, a lot of people do. If you're worried about it, I've got more information on this plays update. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 235. Audacity turns 25 years old. Hard to believe. 25 years old, man. I don't know when I started with Audacity. At least 20 years ago, 22, 24. I came on to Audacity pretty early. And I loved it. From the beginning, I loved it. I was using Pro Tools. I got an interface that I could specifically use with Audacity. Everybody in my industry, music, we were using Pro Tools. I loved Audacity. Yeah, it was simple, but great for spoken word. I purchased an interface specifically that would allow me to use Audacity. Some of them were Pro Tools exclusive. Or I think they were Pro Tools exclusive. Anyway, they were packaged with Pro Tools, some of them. That's what it seemed like to me. I said, no, I don't want that. I don't want to spend money on the software. I want to spend money on the interface. I love Audacity for spoken word. And I'm still using it. 3.74 was just released this week. It is out. It is available to you. But let's talk about the 25th anniversary. The very first public release of Audacity, I mentioned 3.7.4, May 2000, Audacity 0.8. It wasn't even 0.1. It's very different from what we have today. It couldn't record. It didn't have plugins. It could only export as a WAV, AIFF, SF, and AU. Had its own thing. You may think Audacity is amateur. A lot of people do. And it's not that the software itself is amateur, but being a free software, we talked earlier about free podcasts. People want to do a podcast on little or no budget. A lot of people save money by going to Audacity. And because of that, maybe people aren't very serious. They're just learning. The newbies who don't really know what they're doing, they get lumped into Audacity. And nothing against those guys. But you've got all these beginners associated with Audacity. So people think Audacity is associated with them. That is not true. Audacity is neutral. It is perfect for spoken word. And without Audacity, podcasting would look very different. It's downloaded over 100,000 times each week. Many of those people making podcasts. They recording accessible and affordable for millions of people. So let's give it up for Audacity. 25 years and only getting better. The new Audacity 4.0, that is coming soon, probably the end of the year from what I understand. It might be pushed back like a lot of software, but it's a complete redesign. I've seen the beta. It is very, very cool. Like I said, I've been using it for over 20 years. I'm going to continue to use it. If you want the link to that original Audacity, by the way, you want to see how far it has come, I've got it. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 235. A trick for your remote interviews. This is going to help you make sure your guests show up when and where they are supposed to. As soon as a guest books with you, give them an iCal link. You know what I'm talking about? This is the link to your calendar. When you click on it, it adds a date to that calendar. You've got the session time in there. You've got a link for how to connect to that session. Second thing, send the session time and the link to connect to that session the morning of that session. In other words, you've got a noon session, 8 a.m., you're sending somebody that link. Hey, John, excited to talk to you at noon today. Here's the link to connect. Do those two things. Give your guest the link to connect and the session time as soon as the session is booked. And secondly, the morning of the session, reconfirm the connection time and give that link again. You will have fewer no-shows, making it easy and obvious for people to connect with you. That is going to change how many interviews you can successfully complete. Don't trust people to be as organized as you are. They are not. You got to assume they've got a million things going on. You are one of those things. So make sure you stand out. Send the info immediately when they're hot, when they're excited about being on your podcast, and also day of. I got a funny joke about this, by the way. I always throw this humor in. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 135 to see that. Hey, thanks for listening to Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. Got some extra episodes coming up soon, including, I mentioned working at Sirius.com, doing some production there. I'm going to talk about how that works, how it's different from podcasting. People have asked me, hey, how'd you get on at SiriusXM? I'm going to tell you. If you want to hear that stories, and also how to market your podcast, how to grow an audience, get more people to your podcast, make more money with your podcast. This is how to make sure you never miss an episode. Go to bigpodcast.com. You'll see the subscribe page there. One click is all it takes to get you hooked up on an iPhone, Android, or via RSS. I've got them, man. One click is all it takes. Pick one of those three. This podcast is instantly transferred from the Big Podcast supercomputer to your device of choice. Go to bigpodcast.com to do that. And again, if you want to work with me personally, you want to grow your podcast, make a better podcast, make more money with your podcast, you need one-on-one coaching, and you want to be with a group of people who are working just as hard as you are, who are as passionate about podcasting as you are, I've got it. It's called Big Podcast AMP, A-M-P. It stands for Audio Monetization Program. And you can find that at bigpodcast.com/AMP. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I do. I couldn't do this without you. Any podcast, it's about you, the podcaster, and it's about the people who are listening. You are one of those people who are listening, and I do not take it for granted that you were here and you've spent this time with me. Thank you. I'll see you on the next episode of Build a Big Podcast.